So let's take the product 235 times 42. And first, I'll do the standard regrouping algorithm with that. So with the standard algorithm, we usually stack them. 235, usually we write the shorter number underneath. But it doesn't have to be that way. And we carry anytime a multiple is bigger than 9. So 5 times 2 is 10, so that's no 1s and 1 10. And then we continue, right, to multiply with the bottom ones number with every digit in the top. And we don't worry about place value. We just have things fall in the right place, hopefully. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 2 times 2 is 4. And then because we're jumping over to the next place down here, we're in the tens position, so we have to mark off that we're multiplying by 10 with a 0 to the right. We've dealt with that 1. It's usually a good idea to cross that out before continuing. 4 times 5 is 20, so we put that there's no 1s and then carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14, carry. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And it looks like we have no 1s, 7 10s, 8 hundreds, and 9 thousands. So I think that's the way most people learn to do that eventually. Let's try the expanded. So with the expanded, we still stack them. 235 times 42, but we don't do carrying at first. So 2 times 5 is 10, and we just write the 10. And we have to be cognizant of place value when we do this. 2 times 3 is really 2 times 30, which is 60. And 2 times 200 would be 400s. So then we move on to the 40 here. So 40 times 5, well, 4 times 5 would be 20, so that should be 200. 40 times 30, 4 times 3 is 12, times 10 times 10, 1200. And 40 times 200, well, let's see, 4 times 2 is 8, times 100 times 10. So that would be, let's see, the 10, the 100, and the 8 to get 8,000. And then we start adding stuff up after we do each of the multiplications with place values. So there's no 1s again. There are 7 10s, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hundreds, and 9 thousands. So that's expanded multiplication. Question?
I have a question. So when you're trying to write a multiplication for the, the multiplication for these things, like there's so many ways you can make.
We'll just hold on to that question until after we do the algorithms, okay?
Okay, sorry.
We'll come back to that. All right, some other algorithms. Do you remember the left to right addition we did? Well, those countries also do multiplication that way, so let's give it a try. So model algorithm number 3, we'll do Hindu. And Hindu is left to right. So 235 times 42. And they usually start at the top also. So the first thing they would do with the Hindu is take the 200 times the 40. And to do that, they would count the place values they need, right? That skips 1, 2, 3 place values. So 1, 2, 3. So 2 times 4 is 8 would go over here in the next column over where I don't have anything at the moment. And then I'm going to take the 200 times 2, which would be 400. So that's going to go in this column right here, the 4. So I'm done with that 2 there in the upper left. So now I move on to the 3 here. 3 times 4 is 12. And we have 2 place values. So the 12 starts here. Now, they don't write the 12 like that, though. I'm just noting where it is. So I'm going to undo that. So since the 12 goes here, they would just cross out the 4 and add 2 to it and call it a 6, and cross out the 8 and add 1 to it and call that a 9. So essentially, they're carrying down as they do it. And then the 3 times the 2, 3 times 2 is 6 with 1 place value, so the 6 has to go here. So then we're done with the 3, and we move on to the 5. 5 times 4 is 20 with 1 place value, so there's 0 ones to here, but the 2 from the 20 goes over here, making that 6 and 8. And then finally, 5 times 2 is 10, so the 0 goes here, the 110 bumps that 6 up to a 7. And that's the Hindu multiplication. They would say ours is really complicated. Why would you write all this extra stuff and put that stuff up there? They'd be baffled by it until we train them after many examples. So let's do another Hindu just to try and get the hang of it. Let's see, new page. Let's do Hindu again. Let's try 324 times 47. So left to right, starting at the top, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to take the 3 times the 4 there. 3 times 4 is 12. And keep in mind, it would be 12,000 because there's 1, 2, 3 place values. So skip over 1, 2, 3. The 12 goes over here. And then they're going to take the 3 times the 7. So 3 times 7 is 21, skipping 2 place values. So we skip this column and that column. The 1 goes here. The 20 bumps that up to a 4. So there's the 21 from 3 times 7. Now we move over to the 2 here. 2 times 4 is 8, and there's 2 place values here. So skipping 2 place values, the 8 bumps that 1 up to a 9. 2 times 7 is 14, skipping 1 place value here. So the 4 from the 14 goes there. The 1 bumps the 9 up to a 10, which bumps the 4 up to a 5. The flow makes sense? It takes some practice. So I'm done with the 2, and I can move over to the 4 here. 4 times 4 is 16, skipping 1 place value. So the 6 is going to go over here. So that's going to bump that up. And then we get to carry the 1 and the 1 from the 16. So that's now going to be a 2. That was a hard one. And finally, 4 times 7, 28. So the answer should be 15,228 if I did the Hindu right. And that's how many people, billions of people around the world are taught to do multiplication. Billions of people do it that way. No, it's amazing. I think I told you, like, a lot of people don't even call numbers the same thing. Like we call a trillion a different number than what they call it in, say, France. We say a trillion is 1,000 billion. In other countries, it's let's see, a billion is a million instead of 1,000. So a trillion would be a million. That's a lot. All right, here's the most amazing one, I think. Russian. Let's go back to the 235 times 42. And the way the Russian works is you have one number and you double the other number. And it turns out it doesn't matter which one you have and which one you double. So I'm going to choose to have 42 because I can do that easily right now. Half of 42 is 21. And you keep cutting that number in half until you get to 1. Now, if I cut 21 in half, problem with that is it's not a whole number. So we just ditch the remainder. So half of 21 is 10, remainder 1. Forget about the remainder. Let's call it 10. Half of 10 is 5. Half of 5 is going to be 2, ditch the remainder. We just call it 2. And half of 2 is 1. You're going to double one number and have the other number. And you know when to, yeah, so I haven't done any doubling yet. I'm just doing the halving first. And the reason I do the halving first is the halves tell me when to stop. You stop when you get to 1. So you cut it in half and throw out any remainders. You just ignore them. So now I have to double the other number to match every half. So doubling 235, let's see, that's going to be 0, 7, 4, 470. Then I have to double that. So doubling that's going to be 0, 4, 9. Nope, we're just doubling one at a time. So then I have to double 940. That's going to be 0, 8, 18. And I got to keep doubling because I need a match for every half. So doubling 1,880 is going to give me 0, 16, 17, 3. And then one more time, double 0, 12, 15, 7. All right, so usually I like to put a line down the middle. Now, every time there's an odd half, circle the corresponding double. So 21 is odd, 5 is odd, and 1 is odd. Add up the numbers you circled. So if I add those circled numbers up, I get 0, 7, 8 is 15, and 2 is 17, carry the 1. 5 and 8 is 13, and 5 is 18, carry the 1, 7, 8, 9, 9,870, which is the answer we found before. Isn't that wild? Now, I mentioned it doesn't matter which number you have. So let's try it again, but we'll have 235. So starting with 235 times 42, half of 235. So let's see, half of that, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 3 once with 1 left over, 2 goes into 15 7 times, forget about the remainder. And we're just going to keep cutting this number in half. Half of 117, let's see. Half of 10 is 5, carry the 1. Half of 17 is, let's see, 2 goes in there 8 times, forget about the remainder. Half of 58 would be 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 29. Half of 29, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 9, 4 times, forget about the remainder. Half of 14 is 7. Half of 7 is going to be 3. Forget about the remainder. Half of 3 is going to be 1. Forget about the remainder. All right, so for every number we have a half for, we need to get a corresponding double. So start doubling 42 so you have a matching number in the next column. I think I did this right. So once you have all the doubles, then you look for odd numbers in the half column. Now 235 is odd, so I need the 42. I need the 84. I need the 336. I need the 7. I need the 3. And I need the 1. Ooh, this is going to be harder. All right, let's see. That's going to be 8 and 2 is a 10. 6 and 4 is a 10. And then we have another 6 and 4, so that's 30. So 0, carry the 3. This one's going to be harder. That's 7, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 37. Carry the 3.
Is the Russian stuff together?
Yes. 3 and 3 is 6, 9, 15, 16, 17, 18. Carry the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is 9. Holy shit, I have the same answer. And I don't think billions of people do this. My guess is several million people do it this way still in the world today. All right, I'm going to stop there. I will repeat some of these algorithms next time. I didn't show you my favorite algorithm. Oh, maybe I should show you that before we go. Anyone see my favorite one or wait?
Wait.
Wait, fine. You'll have to be in suspense till next class.
Can you answer my question now?
You had a homework question, right?
Yeah.
What number?
Oh, gosh.